This is one of the most advanced 4K triple laser projectors available on the planet right now. It's the AWOL Vision. This is the LTV 3500, and I do have to say, it's exceptional. From unbelievable brightness and color accuracy to 3D technology, this thing ticks every box. Don't forget to hit the red button to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up and click the notification bell to get my next video first. So thank you very much to the team at AWOL Vision for sending this across for me to have a look at. It comes in quite a meaty box, as you can see, and inside that box is the star of the show, the Trichroma 4K ultra short throw laser projector. Now inside the box you've got the usual, but the thing that I want to concentrate on is the actual projector itself. In my opinion, this is the best looking laser projector on the market right now, with one very minor exception. I do wish they'd have greyed out the logo on the front. I think that would have been a little bit more classy. But guys, I am literally trying to pick holes with this thing because there's not much else I can say bad about it. Inside the box you get a quick startup guide and also a far more comprehensive user manual. There's also batteries for the remote, which isn't backlit sadly, but I think it does look really good, and it's got all of the functions very quick access. It's made of plastic, but it does look like it's metal, and it's got a nice little pattern on the reverse. There's also a couple of the cables, which is nice. This also comes with a Fire Stick, and that's because on the back of this thing there's a little compartment for it. The ports on the back include an optical audio, a USB, an Ethernet port and two HDMI, one of which is HDMI eARC, which is a really nice touch. That little compartment on the back houses a Fire Stick easily, but it will also support other types of stick as well because they have made it quite large. Now turning this thing on, put your sunglasses on because this thing, 3500 lumens, is bright. And when I mean bright, it is unbelievably bright. This is by far the brightest projector, laser 4K, that I've looked at. The window is open, as you can see, the blind is up, and it is still pumping out an unbelievable amount of light. Better than I've ever seen on anything else. It really is that noticeable. The projector has an Android operating system, but it's a fairly basic one, which I don't mind at all. I like the fact that you can find everything very easily, and I'll show you more about that in a moment. But if you choose, you can have this booting straight into an HDMI port. So I've got it now booting into the Fire Stick, which we've just put in the back of the projector. And then you don't have to worry about the menu system really at all. There are some handy features within that operating system, including casting. That's simple to do. And there's 8-point keystone correction, where you can drag the corners to fit your screen, and there's also digital focus. But this thing, I mentioned how bright it is, and this is in the middle of the day with that blind up. It just is incredible the type of picture that you can get. Now when we show you it at night it gets even better, but as you can see, blind up, middle of the day, and it's the best projector that I've seen for performing in any type of ambient light or daytime light. But that also means that it gets even better when you lower the blind and you've got a dark room, because this thing literally just jumps off the screen. It really does look exceptional. Now the advantage to this is that you're going to get such more better performance in HDR, and you won't lose as much detail within the highlights. And the shadow detail is exceptional. It really is something to behold. Now I'm hoping it comes across as good as it looks in reality, because everyone that I've shown this to is absolutely blown away with it. They're almost looking behind it thinking it must be some type of OLED TV. It's amazing. The menu system on this projector to change the picture is basic yet comprehensive, and I actually quite like that. I don't like necessarily being confused by a menu system, and this is very simple and very straightforward to operate. Even a novice could do that. There's various different HDR modes. When you're in the HDR content, it will detect that automatically, and that you can change it to your heart's content. There's a user mode which you can then go in and tweak the colors, change the white balance. It really is very advanced. Now the other advantage of having that triple laser is that not only are you getting the extra brightness, but you're getting exceptional color accuracy. This has 107% of the BT 2020 color gamut. My preference out of the box was HDR movie mode. This seemed to be the most accurate right from the very start, and hardly any tweaking was necessary. There were some scenes that I found the reds were slightly too high, but again, that was just no problem at all to go in and tweak. You can take those down easily. You can also change the color temperature if you wish. As you can see here at the moment, it's set to hot. You can go cool, standard, or you can set your own user setting. The only time I changed it from movie mode was when I was playing games, and I switched it into game mode to get the faster input times. If at any time you do want to go in and change the color correction, then you can do this easily by just dragging the sliders left and right. It really is very simple, and you can always reset it to its standard if you've gone too far. Another advanced feature that this projector has is motion estimation and motion compensation. This is referred to as MEMC, and this is where extra frames can be inserted to add to the smoothness of the picture. Now, I didn't notice too much difference between high and medium setting, and I found that if you really wanted the smoothest picture without it affecting things, then low setting was probably the best. But if you turned it off, then for the majority of scenes, it would be absolutely fine. As is usual with this type of projector, they sit pretty close to the wall. For an 80-inch screen, you need to be 6 inches away from the wall, providing you're at the right height. A 100-inch screen will be 9.8 inches, 120-inch 13.8, and for just 20 inches, you'll get a 150-inch screen. Now, although I've said a lot about the brightness of this projector, brightness can be a bit of a double-edged sword, because if you don't get the same type of contrast within the colours, then it's pretty much lost and you can end up with quite a faded image. This doesn't suffer from that. SDR content is exceptional, whether it be a bright room or whether it be a dark room. In fact, sometimes it feels almost too bright and you may even want to dial it back a little bit. I found that HDR content was where this was at its exceptional best. It certainly provided one of the best experiences watching HDR content on any laser projector that we've tested. So you may have heard of the term soap opera effect, and I found that with motion enhanced motion compensation turned on, MEMC, you did see noticeable soap opera effect when it was set to medium or high. Less so when it was low, in fact almost none at all. I found watching HDR movies at their best with the motion enhancing turned off completely. Now, you may want to turn it on for sporting events because sports on this could seem a little bit jittery, but when I tested it watching soccer, I set it to low and I didn't have any issues at all. One feature which not many of these type of projectors have is 3D support, and this does do an exceptional job of handling 3D content. Myself personally, I'm not a great fan of 3D content. I do tend to suffer from a little bit of eye strain. However, when I tested this watching Avatar, it was pretty impressive. Didn't seem to be any loss in color or brightness, and it worked brilliantly. What about gaming? Well, we popped it into game mode, and this is where you're going to get the lower input lag. The advertised input lag is 30 milliseconds in 4K and 17 milliseconds in 1080p. Now, we tried both of these settings, and in all honesty, I couldn't really tell any difference between the two. They seemed almost identical. But the gaming experience was fantastic. On that big screen, it is something to behold. It really is an awesome experience. Now, obviously, you are limited to those input lag times, and so therefore that does need to be assessed depending on your type of gameplay. But I do have to say that the overall experience with this projector is fantastic. The brightness achieved in some of these games is just absolutely insanely good. And so overall, I think it's probably one of the best. The audio on this projector is a 2.0 channel with 4 stereo speakers at the front, producing around 36 watts. Now, I found that the sound was, again, very good. However, like I always say on any of these type of projectors, it will not beat a dedicated surround sound system or a high-end soundbar. This is an example of the type of sound that I recorded from around 2.5 meters away. Okay, so I'm going to begin to summarize now. SDR content, cable TV, sports are absolutely fantastic with this projector, as is 4K movies, and HDR content is brilliant. Now, the purists out there will say about the black levels during the HDR content, and the contrast is just not as good as what you'd see on something like an OLED. But what I would say is that the elevated brightness and the just punchiness of the colours almost acts as a compensation for that, and so therefore it still seems brilliant. The other thing that I just cannot believe is how good a picture you get when the window is open, the blind or the curtains are open. It is just the best that I've seen, as I mentioned earlier, on any projector. Now, the LTV3500 does come with an enhanced price tag, and if you haven't quite got that budget, then maybe you should consider the model below, the LTV2500, which still has a very impressive 2600 lumens. Now, that is obviously an option for you, but if you can push yourself that extra level, then I definitely think it's money well spent, because just watching the news, when have you ever seen the news look so good on a 100-inch screen? It is just mind-blowing. So guys, my thoughts on this projector are that yes, it's a little bit hefty price tag. There are some things I would improve. I'd definitely improve the remote. I'd get a backlight on it, and there are no energy saving settings that I can see, although I never use them, so that's not really a fault. I did say right at the beginning that I would try and find fault, and I have to say, I struggled. This thing is my favorite projector by a distance. Thanks for watching this video, my friends. Any questions, leave them in the comment section. I look forward to seeing you on the next review.